All right. Welcome along, everybody, to the Plant a Seed podcast. I'm joined this afternoon by Nicki Beattie. Some of you may know Nicki. I'm going to let Nicki introduce herself. Nicki, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm a medically trained doctor. I qualified from medical school in 1981. So this is my 40th year of being qualified as a doctor. From the UK, I did a backpacking trip in New Zealand, got my residency, married a Kiwi, farmer stroke entrepreneur stroke every single thing going. But anyway, so worked in general practice till about 18 years ago. Roger and I farm on Banks Peninsula, as well as have agriculture and a few things. So I stopped medicine about 18 years ago. I had 3 small kids, very busy, but I philosophically I struggled with it because a lot of my thinking for healthcare at the time was, there's a lot of things you can do which don't involve prescribing drugs, and I felt that my role was, more importantly, was to be a diagnostician and allay people's fears and work out what the problems were, and then send them down various paths for all sorts of types of treatments, because there's a lot of things out there that aren't orthodox conventional medicine that actually are really good for your health. So I did quite a lot of research into that, and I remember giving a presentation to a GP group. You used to have to do sort of webinar, seminar things, and I gave a talk about all the things that were available. A general overview of different types of medicine, so Chinese medicine, anesthesiology, various other things I'd looked into. And at the end of my presentation, there was a stony silence. And eventually someone said, "Oh, well, young doctor, if you're going to start recommending that sort of thing, you're going to be in trouble with the medical council." So I came home and I said to my husband, Roger, I said, "Well, I knew I was different, but I'm on the different planet to these people, really. There's no real way to go with this." So, and I was struggling with all the businesses and 3 small children. So I just stopped medicine. It wasn't a simple thing to do, but I mean, I haven't looked back since I pulled out, because as a doctor, it was becoming more and more protocol. So we'd get things coming in. People came into the surgery, and basically, if they had A, B, or C, you did X, Y, Z, end of story, and that was it. You had to stick to the protocols, and in fact, you were overseen randomly, and if you deviated at all, you were in trouble with the medical council. And so I would say to the nurses, "Well, they get a robot to do this. I mean, I'm not even allowed to think anymore." It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And especially when you know your patients, and you know that there's various things that they would like to do. But I still used to get people coming in, and I'd say, "Well, I'm supposed to tell you." I mean, at the time, we were going through the fat thing, the cholesterol.
It's everything's fat free. Yeah. Butter is bad.
Butter. So we were going through the butter thing, and I remember that advert they had on about butter and margarine, and the New Zealand butter industry had put up what's in butter, and it was cream and salt, and what's in margarine. And she said, "Oh, ask your father, dear, he's the chemist." And there's a long list of ingredients in margarine. And I used to say to patients, "Well, I'm supposed to tell you to eat margarine, but I eat butter." And so
that was the professional advice to eat margarine.
Oh, it was. No, we had to, because they're obsessed with cholesterol. I mean, of course, now it's all been completely. I mean, I've lived through a few medical scams, really. I mean, they're not meaning to be scams, but they get onto a small amount of research and go down this rabbit hole, and they can't see big pictures. And so I've seen flip-flops in lots of advice, like you've to eat margarine, and now no, you've not to eat margarine, you to eat butter. And even now there's still a lag with the fat thing, isn't there? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And the amount of people saying none at all, you know, don't.
I mean, if I have to buy blue top milk, I also buy cream and make it half and half.
Yeah. Well, you can even buy it half and half. It's great.
You can, but if you can't buy half and half, I add cream to the milk to make it at least vaguely wholesome. So craziness, and there's a lot of this, and the other thing that I can't comprehend is that whenever there's a nutritional fad, or you know, there's a change in people's thinking on nutrition, they interview a medical person. Now, medical people know, unless they're interested, know diddly squat about nutrition and diet. When I was at medical school, we did one lecture on nutrition, and I don't think it's changed that much. One of our lads is going out with a newly qualified doctor, and she said that they only did 1 or 2 lectures, so it hasn't changed. And yet they always interview medical people about nutrition, and it's just mind-boggling.
And we trust it. We trust it. Like if a doctor tells me you've got to do this, you know, it's like my grandmother. When I and I'm, you know, bless her, she's still getting around eating the 99% fat-free luncheon that you buy in logs like that. You should cut the piece off. It looks like plastic. Buys the margarine in the 5 kg tub. You know, oh, it's great stuff. She says, put that in with the spuds while you're frying them. Butter, and it's, you know, butter replacement. But anyway, my grandmother, what she had heard recently that I had a go at fasting, and I come in, and firstly my grandma does when I come home is food. You know, it's her love is food.
Yeah.
You never go there and not eat. And anyway, I come in and she said, "Oh, I'll cook you up a quick. I got some spuds in the fridge, you know, cooked up. We'll fry them up." And I was just like, "No, it's okay." And she's like, "Oh, you're not hungry. You know, you look skinny." She's always saying that you need to eat something. So no, I'm just having this thing where I'm not eating for a few days. And she was just like, "You're gonna kill yourself." She got pissed off, like actually pissed off.
Yeah,
she's like, what are you doing this silly stuff for? And now every time if I want to talk to her about nutrition, because I can see the link, you know, that's missing is that this nutrition conversation. And if I ever mention anything around like you know, diversifying your gut biome, or, you know, eating, for instance, like whole dairy products, or, you know, real good animal fats or whatever, she says, "Oh, if it's got anything to do with that bloody fasting, I want nothing to do with it." And the other thing is, the other day I went there, for those of you that don't know, I had a pretty substantial car crash recently, which we may talk about soon because Nicki was a big part of that healing process. But I went there to my grandma's, and my grandfather died, her husband, about 4 months ago, and or 5 months ago, and she's gone and kept all of his paracetamol and codeine, and I turned up, and she said, "Hey, how you feeling, son?" And I said, "No, I'm a bit of pain here and there." She says, "Oh, you're taking plenty of painkillers?" I said, "Nah, I'm not really." "Oh, you bloody stupid. Take these," and brings out 7 boxes of codeine and paracetamol and wanted to give me these prescription drugs because to her they equal health.
Yeah, well, you see, it's interesting. I mean, you have symptoms for a reason. You have pain because it's telling you something, so that you don't overdo something and injure yourself again. And obsession with Panadol taking is extraordinary. I couldn't tell you when I last took a Panadol, but fever, pain, all these symptoms are telling you something, or they're doing it. I mean, a fever is a good thing because it cranks up your immune system, and it needs to fully function at a higher temperature than 37.5 degrees. So you need the fever for your immune system to work properly. But modern parents, modern men is just instant, just suppress it.
Paracetamol, get that fever down.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, everyone's petrified of febrile convulsion, but that's so uncommon, and it's only very, very high.
From fever.
Yeah. But anybody. I mean, people are. They're almost trying to deny what. I mean, you know, the body tries to heal itself, And modern man tries to suppress everything that is vaguely uncomfortable, you know, vaguely unpleasant. So, I mean, when I was in practice, you know, upper respiratory, you know, common cold, head cold, sore throat, the usual thing. I mean, the flu that everyone called it, it's not actually the flu, but they called it, everyone calls it the flu. And it's literally a self-limiting thing. It's a pain, it's annoying, it's uncomfortable, it's an inconvenience, and it's probably, you know, a 5 to 10 day inconvenience. But people just want instant fix it. I mean, they can't stomach having it for you know, a day or two. Even just recently, someone said that they'd gone to the doctor because their sore throat and cold had gone for 3 whole days, and you're like, really? I mean, it's diddly squat, you know, it's nothing. So they don't. And I used to spend a lot of time. If people came in, you check up for, you know, check it hadn't gone on their chest and all these sorts of things, and grab an opportunity to talk about diet or what they could drink, you know, hot lemon and honey is an awesome treatment for lots of things, Manuka honey. And you know, so I'd spend a lot of time telling them why they don't need antibiotics with a viral illness, but by Jove, they'd sit there with their arms folded, very angry because they'd paid to get the prescription for the antibiotics. And I'd say, look, you know, if I'm only in it for the money, I could have had you out that door in 2 minutes with a prescription for amoxil. But I'm actually I'm here to look after your health. Therefore, I'm spending time educating you on why you don't need antibiotics. Well, it was such hard work, you know, to actually do the right thing by people. People just want instant fixes.
And there's no understanding of like people correlate bugs or biology or bacteria as the devil, and so, you know, if we're sick, we need to get that antibiotic, kill everything, and everywhere now we've gotten used to just like antibacterial hand wash at the sink. We use sprays that are 99% germ killing, and we're living in this sterile environment. It's no wonder we get sick.
Yeah, I mean, we've crucified our gut microbiome, and I mean, I as I said to someone the other day with this hand sanitizer, I'd rather rub my hands in dirt than use that. I would. It's crazy stuff. But the thing is, Jono, you and I met because of this regenerative agricultural sector. Which so when I'd stopped medicine, I ended up moving into a small business with kelp, which we had access to on our farm, because we also have aquaculture. So we were feeding Paua with kelp, and so we started to dry it and mill it, and so we sold it as a condiment, which is very good for your iodine levels.
Is that the Valere?
Yeah, but we don't use that brand now. We mainly wholesale to all organic kelp producers in New Zealand, and it goes overseas. And then also it's put on the land, and it's an extraordinary plant because it grows a foot a day. So when you put it on the land, it's, you know, your garden can grow like triffids. And it's a phenomenal plant and one of nature's wonders, of which there are many. But, you know, it's so incredible to see how it can be used for so many positive things. It's and then, you know, the farming, we have hill country, we're busy, so we're easy care. So we've just naturally moved into the whole regenerative sector, which wasn't a thing when we started farming, but we were basically doing a lot of it. And of course now there's more and more information about how you are supposed to do the regen thing. And then there's the, you know, holistic grazing, tall grass farming, many multi-species diversity. I mean, it's a phenomenal setup system, isn't it? I mean, it is. It's the only way for us to all go. But the wonderful thing is that the whole farming community that's involved in this, they're defaulting to use less and less artificial inputs, and that includes chemicals. By nature of the way it works,
it's not by attachment to being like you guys are organic, and so you guys have got no choice. But there's a lot of people confuse regenerative with organics. Like, sure, we want to get to the point where there's no chemicals, but it's just a byproduct of having a functional system. We do just, as a consequence, just wean off these synthetics because we don't need them.
Yeah, because I mean, our daughter at the moment, she's on a rampage, anti-glyphosate Roundup type thing, and I said to her, you can't just shout it from the rooftops like Greta Thunberg and say no, you can't use this. No,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that. People have to. It's difficult to change. People don't like change. It's their livelihood. It's stressful. You've got to graduate by default. This is happening. And people will
not from like a.
I know, not an antagonistic approach, but so, and of course, I just love it because when I started going to field days, and that's where we met, and you go in a paddock and you see a conventional farmer looks and he's got weeds, he's got to spray it, right? A regen ag holistic farmer goes, I've got this weed. Oh, great. It's telling me something.
Yeah.
The soil's compacted, the soil's acidic, whatever. Yeah. It's telling me stuff. Therefore, I'm going to look at the soil, and by fixing the shortage or in the soil or the deficiency or the aeration or the problem, the weed will disappear, right?
This is like frighteningly, it's almost like a mirror up to the medical industry.
Yeah, because you go to the doctor with a rash and the doctor goes, you got a rash, I'll spray it.
Yeah, right? put this steroid. Yeah.
Well, so the spray is the cream. Well, even there's a spray.
The weed is the rash.
I know. So, and yet if you go to a natural healer, of which there's many amazing choices out there of what you can do, and I mean, they would spend, for a start, they'd spend at least minimum of an hour, maybe up to 3 hours, talking to you about your whole life, your whole history, the whole, your inputs, your picture of your general health. And then the rash would be kind of a mere interest, but it's the whole picture is what they're interested in, not the rash. And by fixing your big picture, the rash will go, same as the weed. And you just see it so much when you go onto the farm and look at the health sector, and they're just there and they're calling out, help me, no, don't spray,
And sadly the listening out there in the community is very much the same in those two camps as well. So, and I'll just go back to my, when I was in the very industrial, conventional agriculture and agronomy space, anyone talks to me about farming without chemicals or fertilizer, I'm like, hippies, weirdos. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if I had not that I ever really got sick, but if I got sick, I'm going to listen to the doctor, not that was the listening, and
not some woo-woo,
not some yeah. I'm going to leave my flex jandals at the home, thanks. I know. We're so shut off. We have to trust chemistry over nature.
Well, I mean, and everyone's sort of like, oh, the science will save us. Well, actually, the science will save us as long as the science is looking at the science of the natural things that happen. I mean, look, no one would doubt that if you have an acute issue, you definitely go to the doctor or the hospital, absolutely. But for chronic low grade things, there's a lot out there that's that offers more than actually just a pill or a cream, and it's powerful, and it's your whole health, it's your mental well-being. The whole thing go together, as does the way people farm. I mean, I know that the people that do regen, I mean, from our chat, I think people get so excited about it.
That always so people awesome. Think. But remember, I actually was at came up on my Facebook memories was 2 years ago last week. We were at your place.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, with the Quorum Sense Field Day, and I remember that day. Like, and there's a photo of me, and I've got no shirt on, standing outside. We're having lunch outside your beautiful house, and just the environment of those meetings. Imagine if someone came in from, like, I'm not going to name anyone, but someone really conventional. I would assert they would walk up the drive, and this is ridiculous, me assuming this, but this would not surprise me. Walk up the drive, hear all this laughter, have a look around the corner. There's all these farmers standing around, talking, having fun. Oh, that's weird. I'm going to turn around and leave. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so profoundly enthusiastic.
Yeah, it is.
So enthusiastic. People would think it's like a weird, it's like farmers all of a sudden. I'm just saying from my experience, but farmers are almost scared of that level of happiness, like, because they're so used to their misery. They're so used to they're
entrenched,
being hard done by and to doing things tough,
doing things tough, entrenched, and doing the same old, and getting the same old results. In fact, it often gets worse, doesn't it? Because they're flogging the dead horse, as it were, I suppose.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing about this whole regenerative agriculture is it's pulled together. I know I'm a medical doctor, but I'm not working now. But I work on the farm. But it's pulled together all sorts of, like, we've got scientists, all sorts of people are coming into this space, because at the end of the day, it impacts on all of us as to what we eat. And that's profound. I mean, knowing your food is going to do you some good is essential for your health, really, anyway. So, but it brings together a whole variety of people in different industries, even within the farming group. And then there's the scientists and there's the health professionals. We've got the homeopath and all sorts of people.
Yeah,
doing all sorts of things.
I heard a stat this week, Nicki, and I read a stat. It's over 98% of all illnesses and diseases come back to either a nutrient deficiency or a nutrient excess. Yes, yeah. Well, it's very powerful. And the other thing is that's powerful is stress. Stress is another. Oh my goodness.
I think I've read 95% of illnesses are caused by stress as well. So different stresses, of course, but and that's certainly not recognised. It's not recognised, nor is epigenetics recognised by the medical profession, which is gobsmackingly unbelievable that they don't recognise epigenetics.
Before we go down epigenetics,
they're dinosaurs for that.
Before we go down epigenetics, because I can't wait to talk about that. What about the whole stress thing is similar to, because you must have had patients come to you with concerns about their mental well-being, right?
Yeah.
And would it
a lot?
And common practice would be treat the symptoms. So I went to the doctor when things weren't going well for me and my marriage was collapsing and I was, killing everything for a living, but underneath I was really suppressed and resigned. And I thought, okay, I'm depressed. I'll go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I was smoking like an ounce of cannabis a fortnight, just sleep at night. And it was really, I was in a dark place. But I had no idea it was anything to do with my choices in life. I thought, no, I've got this illness. And people think that depression is an illness, like it's something that you have and need to treat. And so I went to the doctor and they gave me a prescription without any conversations. It wasn't even a conversation about, like, how's my life?
No,
what are you dealing with? Prescription.
In
Leaston, the chemist is over the street. I walked over the street without going to my car, handed my prescription over, and that was a really low point for me because I felt like I was selling out. I was like, I don't know, something inside me was just like, you weak. I felt weak, and I handed it over, the prescription. They said, it's going to be 20 minutes. Would you like to wait or come back? I said, I'll come back. I'll go home and hang a load of washing out. This was when I was living in Leaston with my family. And then went home and something just was like inside me, just like, I can't explain it, but I didn't go back. I didn't go and get it. I didn't,
good on you.
And then about maybe a few weeks later, it was only a few weeks later, my ex-wife left, and then I went through this like transformation, and I realized that was just a symptom of my life situation that I'd created, and my mindset and my stress. And once I dealt with that,
but to go and see a health professional, you'd have been what, 15, 20 minutes if you're lucky. I mean, there's just no way you can deal
5
with
minutes.
5 minutes. Well, it's criminal.
I was in the waiting room longer.
In 5 minutes to prescribe these things, it's just.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like this.
Incredible.
I'm sure it's helped some people, and I'm not saying don't go to your doctor.
I know.
I want to make that really clear. And at the time, although I didn't want to take them, something had me not take them. I didn't know what it was, nor did I know there was other ways I could deal with my anxiety and stress. I didn't know. They came to me later through a series of, unpredictable events that forced me to, the hitting of the wall sort of forced me to change, or forced me to really listen to my body and, stop treating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're fortunate in that we can look things up and I mean, I think, look, no one's not to go to their doctor, because that's what the anchor that people have, and also the guidance. But I think you got to look at the doctor's one of many of your health professionals, and the doctor isn't the mainstay. I don't think these days. I've got in my first aid kit would be all homeopathic stuff. It wouldn't be. I don't use any drugs, or there's Panadol in the house, but I don't use any of that. So
how old are you, Nicki? Can I ask?
60, nearly 63.
And you're out there. You're telling me today how much you love your new handy piece for crutching your sheep. Yeah,
I know.
Like Superwoman.
I do. I think people think I'm a bit odd, but I do like crutching sheep. I should have been a hairdresser, maybe, I don't know. But luckily they don't have to deal with the shit. But
maybe a Gamere trim up.
Yeah.
I bloody need it.
No, I do like, it's just, you can just tidy them up and make them look good. And I just think that there's so many things that you can do for your health. And I think that people need to understand that your body wants to heal. If you've got problems, your body wants to heal. It can heal. There's so many things that you can do that are to do with your nutrition, your lifestyle, your stresses, your mental health, your spirituality, and your body are all one. There's no separation from head to mind to body. It's all together, and you've got to start looking at your whole health as a big picture. So your mental health, your physical health, it's all connected, and it's a big picture. The doctor doesn't have time. The way it's structured, they don't have time, and they're not educated in I mean, we're just not educated in nutrition. It's mostly pharmacological. It's very heavily involved in the pharmacological business. And there's amazing advances in all sorts of screening and that sort of thing, and obviously surgery and obstetrics, orthopedics, awesome stuff. But for general health and well-being, you can't just rely on going to the doctor. You've got to look at all sorts of things, and hugely your nutrition. So that's what you're putting into your body, and your your mental health. I mean, there's so many people like this. Ben Warren on Be Pure, he's a nutritionist. There's Dr. Libby. They're awesome forums. There's a lot of people that you can look at, and I mean, Joe Dispenza, I put you onto him.
Oh,
there's so many inspiring people out there that you can just look at that won't cost you online to start you on the journey. But the main thing you've got to do is to take a hold of the wheel yourself, and start and get people to help you drive your health and well-being, and not just sit there and just take the pills if you're told to. You've got to start to really look into all the things you can do, and mostly nothing will make you feel ill, because you actually just can improve your health with what you're doing with your lifestyle and your food.
And making that choice instantly, going from being it is literally going from being a victim to being a proactive you know, you're making in control and making a stand for yourself. So I was lying in hospital when you came and see me in hospital, before you introduced me to Joe Dispenza. I mean, I was fortunate enough that, you know, my mindset's always had already been really, you know, optimistic, and I just loved life and was doing things that equaled, you know, passion and enthusiasm. But I had no idea that on a biological level and even down in a cellular level, that our bodies respond to our thoughts. So I had no idea that if you're in fear and anxiety and in fight or flight mode, your body is literally not it's shut down on its resilience, because it's focusing on escaping, on running. And the minute that you step out of the being a victim and poor me and give me the treatments and help, it is like, help me. It's like, you know, help me, and I'm scared, and there's like a lion's chasing you, but there's no lion. The lion's in your head. But that's the society we were all born into. So don't take this personally. The people that are listening, don't take this personally. We all were born into this. But at some point, when you take a stand and start to discover what you can do within yourself and your thinking, start taking action, holy shit, your whole body starts to change. Like, and my recovery was, I mean, I broke 15 bones, broke my back in 4 places, had titanium rods holding my back up, and I was walking within a few days. It was, I mean, sure, I had surgery. I remember you coming around, Nicki, you're just like, you know, I don't think you were surprised, but maybe.
You were phenomenal. Like, you were so ahead of, I mean, you know, the
doctors were like, they're like, every half hour they come with their packet of painkillers and then laxatives and then anti-nausea medications, because that's their line of treatment, you know. Painkillers to treat the pain, anti-nausea medication because the painkillers give you nausea, and then laxatives because the painkillers, and then you come around and next minute we've got some homeopathic treatments. I'm on the arnica, I'm on the bone knit, and I'm all of a sudden now reading this amazing dude called Joe Dispenza, which you know got me onto, and I listened to his book. I can't remember the name of it, but I was out, you know, and the kids as well. Like, I feel like I was able to be that stand for my children as well. They saw that in me. I wasn't, you know, and even during the crash, after the crash, I wasn't like a victim, you know. I was being proactive. It was like I was telling the doctors what I was going to do, you know. No, I won't be taking that.
Well, and, your outcome is, I mean, it's a credit to you and your attitude and taking it all on board, like you've said. And I mean, you're just a living example of what you can do if you take a hold of the wheel. Carrie Thomas also was pretty heavily involved in this with you, I know, and with
she supplied the
so she needs a lot of credit for her help too, because of her amazing homeopathic remedies and an overall picture that you get when you use homeopathy. But not
only that as well, but I mean, Carrie actually lived at my house for a few weeks when she was in between houses, and she opened the door to consciousness for me. And I mean, at first, I'll be honest, I was like, this is weird, you know, with consciousness. What is this? Have I become a hippie?
You've got hairy legs. You could have been.
Oh, crikey! I got hair everywhere, Nicki.
Yeah, you can definitely be a hippie.
I'll just light my joint up. No.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I love about Carrie is it's sure there's homeopathic treatments, but her approach is beyond that. It's encompassing the mind, I mean, it is spirituality, like you said. And I guess that's why doctors probably don't go that way, because it's not everyone's the same, you know. Everyone's so different and vastly different. It would take up so much of their time, and they'd actually
it would.
They would have to think, Nicki. They would have to actually think.
Well, look, they do think, and it's a hard job, and we don't want to be totally.
No, I shouldn't.
Hard on the doctors. It is a hard job, but the trouble is they're not trained it's the way you're trained. You're a clinician, and it's very clinical. And they treat the physical body. That's what they treat, the physical body. That's the thing. That's the main thing. And even with your mental health issues, it's kind of it's very limited. It's only it's treating on the surface with their chemical remedies. But so they certainly don't have the time, the way it's structured. And that's why I think that people have to look to say, yes, go to the doctor, but also there's many other choices out there, not for acute stuff, not for urgent stuff. No, you go to the doctor, you totally do. And you always go to the doctor, but unfortunately, some of them are fairly, what's the word?
Limited,
critical in a lot of alternative stuff, and don't believe in a lot of alternative stuff. So sometimes it jeopardizes your relationship if you do mention all the things that they regard as wacky that you do. So, but I think that's changing. The younger generation coming through seem to be more open to it, although it's not taught at medical school. Still, it's still very clinical. Teaching environment, very intense, a lot of knowledge they have, phenomenal, but it's almost like that it's so specific that it's not really your general healthcare, but nowadays you can get a lot just freely online, by knowing these forums. I mean, there's an incredible forum called Mind Valley. Have you heard of them?
No.
That's amazing. They've got all sorts of. You need to look up Mind Valley, and then of course this good old Wim Hof. You know about him?
I know. Yeah, I've definitely done a bit of breathing.
Yeah, well, he's amazing.
And
if you want powerful mind over matter stuff, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And so there's so many, and I mean, it's not for everybody. I mean, people just have to go and look and go, that's too much, that's crazy, I couldn't do that. But something will resonate that will help you if you keep looking, if you really want to be in charge of managing your mental and physical health. You can find all sorts of things out there, and that's what we're very lucky about. So I think we're having this chat here, but my message that I think is important is that with your nutrition and your health and everything, it's all balanced, and on farm it's all in a balance. And if you try to work with nature, work with it and not against it, then it'll be a big circle and it'll all come back to balance. But when you do orthodox medicine and conventional farming, you just sledgehammer things and it isn't a balance. The sprays just put things out of balance. I mean, they completely do. And the antibiotics, you destroy your microbiome and you destroy the soil biology with the sprays. And both approaches need to look at the soil and the body and look at it differently. And I think that's why, for me, working on the farm and working with health, it's like, they're both so important because they're both interrelated in so much, and why the doctors should and the farmers should know each other. I mean, you should know in your area where you get decent food. And that you should be, as a doctor, you should be saying, go to this, the Paua in Christchurch, we've got the Paua's farmers market that mostly has organic food there.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things there for the listeners, so they can get curious online about, there's lots of people online that you can search up and learn off. There's nutrition now. What is that? We're doing this regenerative farming thing, and for the consumer that perhaps doesn't understand regenerative agriculture, and we've talked a lot about nutrition. What does nutrition actually look like on a consumer level? On a practical consumer level, like we're lucky enough to understand that how to grow good food, when people only know supermarkets. Right.
Well, I used to give a wee talk at school when the kids were at junior school. They'd ask me because of the lunchbox thing, a lot of the staff kind of pulled their hair out about what kids were sent in their lunch boxes. And, you know, they'd say they'd maybe have a chocolate biscuit, and then they'd have a chocolate bar, and then they'd have a packet, and you just sort of just be aghast at what people fed their kids for lunch.
Yeah.
And I remember standing up there thinking, I've just got to keep it simple. You know, and I used to say, look, if it's live, if it was growing or running, you can eat it, you know?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So, so things, if lots of ingredients on a packet, it's just numbers, no way.
Yeah, numbers, I mean, words you can't pronounce.
You know, apple, ingredients, apple. I mean, that's what it should be. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be a huge list on a packet. And as I used to say to the kids, you know, 2-minute noodles, throw the noodles away and eat the packet. Seriously?
It'd be better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember one lady, she had a toddler who had really bad diarrhea, and I said, oh, a really good treatment for diarrhea, and in fact adults can use it too, is an orange. So juice an orange and put brown sugar in it, a tablespoon of brown sugar in it. But this week, you know, I said, oh, well, when they start, if they've lost a lot of, if it's profound diarrhea, you lose a lot of salt. So I said to give them, you know, some orange juice, some proper orange juice. So this lady was saying, so is that Raro stuff? And I just said, have you ever read what's in a Raro packet? Honestly.
No, we used to take it to school and eat it dry.
It's terrible. I mean, it's not food. and then you go into a supermarket and you could honestly put food on one aisle.
Wow.
Yeah, in a supermarket, I think so. I mean, there's so little that's actually food in the supermarket. It just does your head in. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like I mean, chocolate is a beautiful food. Cacao is actually really good for you.
Yeah.
Cacao is a health food, but it's got to be mostly cacao, not a lot of sugar.
Yeah, refined sugar.
Yeah. So you know, so I'm not a prude, and you know, I mean, I used to make your own homemade crisps. That's really nice too, in a deep fryer, because of course fats are good. But actually, the one thing that people should know is the is polyunsaturated vegetable oils are seriously bad for you. Seriously. Yeah. Because they're polyunsaturated. Unsaturated in chemistry means that they're unstable, and as soon as you ingest them, they have to actually stabilize in your system. So they have to bind with something. So they bind to the blood cells, and that's what causes the damage. You know, it was a phone call. So when you talk about nutrition, I think you've got to sort of, if you've got to look at it and go, do I recognize what this is? I mean, was it live at some stage? You know, was it growing and simple? You know,
and that people can actually grow food themselves as well, eh? Like it's amazing. Yeah.
In fact, we're having huge success with strawberry plants in pots this year, which is much easier than having them in the garden. And we're getting strawberries most days for breakfast of pots, you know. And then the darn things grow, so you can just cut another runner, and then you don't even have to buy another plant. The wretched thing's taking over the house. But you don't need a big garden or anything. And of course, the square foot garden thing's phenomenal. Because you can produce out of a square foot garden. You will need to look. Do you know about square foot gardening? Look that up. That's impressive.
And then the other thing you get out of that is how it feels so good growing your own food, not just on like a, you know, airy fairy feel good thing, but you know, actually getting your hands in soil, getting inoculated with all those microbes. Right. It's literally nature's antidepressant. Like it just, you can't help but be happy out there. I was just in my veggie garden. I chose not to wash my hands because I'm just like loving it. You know, I put the spuds in a bag and they're just full of soil. I refuse to clean my spuds. When I was walking through my chaos garden, and I picked up a radish, and I was a beautiful big red one. I just went chomp. It's my first one. It was hot, and then so I'm looking around for things that'll cool my mouth, and I'm like, turnip, oh, that'll do. It'll be juicy. Chomp, and it was still hot, and I was like, oh man, what else? And I'm looking around, and I was like, pea, grab a pea, chuck it in my mouth, and I was just like, oh, just not the pea pod, just the whole pea plant. Just
the whole pea plant.
Yeah, just jammed it in my mouth.
Protein.
Yeah. And then that's when I knew I had become a hippie.
Exactly. Said right. But even the medical professional the statistics about people, there's certain things are associated with longevity, and gardening is one of them. People that actually garden have a longer lifespan than people that don't. So it is actually medicinal anyway. But because it's the whole lifestyle thing, it's that whole de-stress. It's earthing, of course.
Yeah.
Earthing, because if you're working in an office or you're constantly wearing boots and isolating yourself from the gravity on the planet, which a lot of modern man does, then your whole energy levels all up the wop. So you've really got to ground yourself daily. So gardening does that by even putting your hands in the soil.
That's actually a fantastic, and it was only recently that I got onto that, and I got onto the understanding of earthing, not that I was looking for it, but I was reading a book. And it was a book on Taoism, and they talk about in the Tao, they talk about chi or energy flow, and you can't and how you can build your energy levels, and how you can, it makes you so effective in your life, and ways that you can lose that energy, like negativity, being around certain people that
totally,
and like things like sadly, I learned ejaculation does that, but also that to replenish and rejuvenate, breathing while you're earthed, and between the hours of, it talks about the hours of like 11 p.m. till about 5 a.m. Apparently, that's in the Tao is the time when when the air is most negatively charged particles, and it's those negatively charged particles that they talk about build your, and if you talk to Wim Hof, those guys, the breathing, the energizing,
breathing's huge.
It just pumps you up.
Yeah, well, breathing is huge. It's a massive thing. I mean, there's a fellow who cured himself of. You can cure yourself of lots of things with actual breathing techniques. I know that. Yeah, that's another huge topic. But talking about the energy fields overnight being negative, the dawn chorus. You know how it starts up before the first light?
Yes.
And you know why that is?
Are they breathing?
No, they're sensing that energy change. That's what starts them off. It's the energy fields that's before the light comes. That's why, because birds will sing just before dawn.
Yeah, and right at the end of the day, like right in the evening as well, a lot of birds that's
right. Yeah. So and you're talking about energy. I mean, energy medicine is phenomenal. I love energy medicine, and of course you get that. That's what Regen Ag is, with all the energy and the soil microbiome, and all the roots and the plants have all their energies. I mean, it's a massive topic. But animals use energy a lot. I mean, horses especially, they use horses for juvenile offenders and things, don't they? In the US,
getting them connected and
because a horse, like if you go in a paddock, I don't know if you know much about horses, but a horse can sense. Our daughter is awesome with horses, and as soon before they know who it is, they obviously they can see her aura, and the horses are ears forward, licking and chewing, happy as Larry. But someone who's in a bad mood or whatever, they can sense it, and the ears are back. Long before you've got near to them, they can see your energy.
Yeah.
And
cows animals are the same.
Animals sense energy, and I mean, humans can, but we've lost the natural ability, but some people still can. But it's phenomenal energy.
We've all had those people, Nicki, that you someone walks into a room and you're just like, ooh, you know what I mean? That They don't have to say anything. I used to be able to clear rooms without saying anything. I was carrying around lots of resentment and bitterness.
Oh, okay.
Shit, you didn't
Hard
know
to
me
believe.
then. I know.
Hard to
Seriously,
believe.
I was very good at doing that. But yeah, cows. In my years of milking cows, and I didn't know it was anything. And perhaps I couldn't see it because I was so shut off. But if you were stressed, one, the cows won't flow. They won't come in to, if you're milking in a rotary cow shed, the cows won't walk into the platform. You've got to jam the backing gate up. Well, I didn't do this, but that's what I'm saying is if you are calm and peaceful, you don't even need to use the backing gate. They will literally walk in on their own. And my girlfriend Ruby is a fantastic example of that. She can milk the whole herd of cows without moving the backing gate. They all walk around. They want to come in. But if someone comes in that's stressed, they won't flow. They start shitting everywhere. No shit. These cows, if there's someone at cups off that is in a foul mood, the cows will go around all good until they get to that person and then shit everywhere. They're not silly.
No, I know. Well, I mean, humans are silly. I know. We're just so detached from it all. It's so ridiculous. I mean, and that's what we're here for, because that's why you and I are talking, because we just got to, the whole farming and the health thing, they are hand in hand. Absolutely. That's where you start. With your food and what you eat, and the two are just vitally important. And I think that we really need to concentrate on that.
And I think also if you develop an interest as well, talk to people about it, because it's no good just there with you. Like if you and I had never talked, we'd never have, shared the knowledge we've had. And now we've got this, cool exchanging and sharing of information. But a lot of people will just, and look, I can only talk from my own experience, but I just carried it all around with me. And if I was interested in something that was a bit different, I'd be too ashamed to talk about it, because it's like, oh, people think I'm weird. But I mean, we're all very weird. It's about time we embraced our uniqueness. And in nature, everything's so vastly different, and there's all this diversity everywhere all the time. And I don't know why I'm going off onto this now, but what I'm speaking to is like this attachment to uniformity and things being trying to be the same and not stand out like a tall poppy. Things like
that's just modern man and his ego, I think. And I think that we've got to be just more open and accepting, and also, look where we come from, how we survived this far. There's been some good stuff go on in the world with food and health, and it pays to sometimes look back, because we've lost a lot of good stuff. I mean, there's a lot of exciting things going on for sure, but as a species, our general health is deteriorating. I mean, in America, I really like Zach Bush. He's he's a medical oncologist, and he's got into regenerative agriculture too, hasn't he? And 46% of children in America have chronic disease. 46%. It's unbelievable. And 1 in 3 Americans, male, 1 in 3 women get cancer. 1 in 2 males. It's shocking. It's just like you just could. And so I qualified in medicine 40 years ago. So the statistics have changed. When we did allergies in medical school, it was you're allergic to the drugs, you see. And they mentioned bee stings, and the odd person was allergic to oysters or shellfish or maybe strawberries even. But it was really drugs. And now, how many? I don't think there'd be anyone that doesn't know someone who has an allergy. Like gluten allergy, well, there was no one at school had an allergy for a start. And this is only a generation, 2 generations, I suppose, isn't it? If you talk about 20 years. No, a generation, I don't know. But, this is a very short time frame. And we have so many people allergic to, I think it's 30% of population here, and then all these diseases, chronic diseases that just weren't there. And this is modern. But you see, we were taught allergies, people were allergic to drugs, and of course we've turned our food into drugs, haven't we?
Wow.
Because it's attached to all these sprays.
Yeah. You
So,
don't have to watch
it
that
just
book for
wasn't.
long.
It just wasn't. And people accept. I can't get over how people just accept it, and all they do is they produce gluten-free products, as opposed to going, what the heck's gone on with our food?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty profound, Jono, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there'll be anyone listening here that doesn't know someone that's not allergic to something.
Yeah. That's why we're so. I mean, that's why, and you as well, so excited about this regenerative agriculture thing, because if we can produce our food that's whole and complete on a nutrient level, but is also biologically alive, so that when we eat it, we're actually inoculating ourselves. And that's
supposed to be.
Exactly. But the ripple effects, Nicki, like people talk about the expense of healthy eating, but won't question the $50 doctor's bill, and then the, literally it's our biggest expense in New Zealand right now is medical costs. But we're talking about expensive food, and yet we've got farmers getting paid, in some cases less than 10% of the production worth of their product. And we're
it's not
purchasing commodities.
Farmers making money. I mean,
No.
we've been farming now, I mean, I don't know, nearly 30 years, and we still get, in fact, we're still getting less than what we sold the first year.
Wow.
For our steers. Less money. It's crazy. And I mean, you can't give wool away. I mean, it almost costs you to send your wool away, No. It's just getting absorbed in. Oh, that's another whole thing. That was it. But I, people need to connect what you're eating with your health. And if you, as I say, if you're finding it difficult to kind of work that out, just ask yourself what's happened that we've got so many people allergic to everything, and then all these chronic diseases that people have. I mean, asthmas, eczemas, cancer, autism, Alzheimer's. They're modern diseases. Diabetes, they're all modern diseases. They're all created by modern man.
Wow. Yeah, we can, and that through good nutrition and good lifestyle, a lot of these can not only be prevented, but I've learned that a lot of these can be reversed. Totally. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, there's not many things that, I mean, there would be stories for every single ailment that can be cured using natural means. Absolutely. Totally. Wow. Yeah, no, it's pretty phenomenal. Well, Jono, we probably should be mindful of not going on too long.
I know your time is valuable, Nicki. So look, I want to thank you for your insight. Holy moly. Even, me hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time is just like far out. And it's so refreshing to hear it from a medical practitioner and someone that's out there on the ground doing it. You're producing what I know for a fact to be the tastiest lamb I've ever had in my life through the sheep that you guys grow up there on the hill.
Yeah,
holy moly. If anyone's interested, check out Roger and Nicki's. What's the best for the lamb? Would it just be Wyld?
WYLD. We do products through Wyld.
Yeah.
WYLD.co.nz.
Check that out. Honestly, check out their NZ Kelp website as well for the kelp products, which are phenomenal for waking up soil life and even for feeding to animals. I recommend their products a lot to my clients. Also, check out the blue pearls. Fascinating stuff. Growing pearls in Paua. Who would have thought? But yeah, Nicki's just one of these go-getters out there doing stuff. So thank you so much, Nicki, for joining me today and giving up your time.
Well, thanks, Jono. Same to you. Awesome stuff. Thanks. Go well.
Awesome.